In this video, we will discuss about algebra of limits. What is algebra? Algebra means we can perform the different arithmetic operations in function using limit concept. Then arithmetic operations means we have addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. These four operations we can perform on limit. These four operations we can perform on limits. That is algebra of limits. For that, let us take two functions. We have to take any two functions. Here we take f and g be two functions such that both x approaching to a f of x and limit x approaching to a g of x exist. So we have two functions. One is f of x and the other is g of x. Both of these functions exist. Then if the function exists means left hand limit is equal to right hand limit for each of these functions. Then we say that limit exists. If left hand limit is equal to right hand limit, then only we say that limit exists. Here we take two functions. Which are the two functions? F of x and g of x. These two functions are exist means left hand limit is equal to right hand limit. That means limit x approaching to a f of x, limit x approaching to a f of x exists means limit x approaching to a minus f of x is equal to limit x approaching to a plus f of x. Both are same. Similarly, in the case of the function g of x also. Is it clear? Now we have to perform addition of limits, subtraction of limits, multiplication of limits and division of limits. These are the four operations performed on limits. First we perform addition of two functions. Limits of sum of two functions is the sum of the limits of the functions. The limit x approaching to a, these are the two functions f of x and g of x. Limit, we have to perform addition between these two functions. So we write limit x approaching to a f of x plus g of x is equal to sum of the limits of two functions. Limit x approaching to a f of x plus limit x approaching to a g of x. Limits of sum of two functions is equal to sum of the limits of two functions. That we call it as addition of two functions. This is how we add two functions. Is it clear? In the case of limits, limit of difference of two functions is the difference of the limits of the function. Similarly, limit x approaching to a f of x minus g of x is equal to limit x approaching to a f of x minus limit x approaching to a g of x. Limits of difference of two functions is equal to difference of the limits of two functions. So the subtraction is also possible using limit. This is the equation for addition of two functions based on limits. This is the difference. Is it clear? Now, limit of the product of two functions is the product of the limit of the function. Here, f of x and g of x are the two functions. Limit x approaching to a f of x into g of x is equal to limit x approaching to a f of x into limit x approaching to a g of x. Limit of product of two functions is equal to product of the limits of two functions. Clear? Fourth one, limit of quotient of two functions is the quotient of the limits of the function. Limit x approaching to a f of x by g of x equals limit x approaching to a f of x by limit x approaching to a g of x. Limit of quotient of two functions is the quotient of the limit of the functions. These are the four arithmetic operations we can perform. Along with that, suppose if we have a constant value along with the function, the constant value along with the function, we can take that constant value outside and we can apply the limit to the function. We can take that constant value outside and we can apply the limit to the function. When g is a constant function, such that g of x is equal to lambda or some real number lambda, and we have a function f, then x approaching to a lambda into f of x is equal to lambda into limit x approaching to a f of x. Here lambda is a constant, so we have to take it outside, lambda into limit x approaching to a f of x. This is the function constant. Along with the function, we can take the constant outside and then apply the limit to the function. Limit x approaching to a lambda into f of x is equal to lambda into limit x approaching to a f of x. Is it clear? Thank you.